Life ends quietly, unless we choose to live loudly. When they called to tell me my grandmother had passed away, I didn't feel what I thought I should. There was no crushing grief, no unstoppable tears, just a faint dizziness and a strange relief, as if a quiet weight had finally slipped off my shoulders. Her last months had already been filled with silence. Not ordinary silence, but the heavy kind that feels like an ending. She lay still in bed, staring through the window as if waiting for a signal none of us could hear. We tried to keep her tethered to life, reading aloud, playing music, leaving the TV murmuring in the corner, but it felt more like rituals against inevitability than real comfort. Sometimes I would sit beside her for hours, not speaking, just listening to the hum of the house. When she was gone, the house didn't erupt in cries. My mother sat on the edge of the bed, holding her hand, unwilling to let go. My father, who hadn't smoked in years, stepped outside and lit a cigarette. I stayed in the doorway, frozen, more like an observer than a son. The air itself seemed to hesitate, as if the world was pausing before moving on without her. Her death became a mirror. I realized I had been moving through life the same way she had been waiting for death, quietly, passively, on autopilot. I went to classes, worked late shifts, made plans that meant nothing. I smiled when expected, answered questions with rehearsed phrases, and convinced myself it was enough. But beneath it all was silence, the same emptiness that had filled her room. At the funeral, relatives I barely knew cried openly, sharing stories and laughter through their grief. I envied their tears, their ability to feel something real. I stood among them like a stranger, unable to cry, unable to break through the numbness. Their memories sounded warm, but to me they felt like fragments of a life I had never truly touched. Days later, I entered her room. Everything was exactly as she had left it. Books stacked neatly, glasses on the nightstand, a photo of my grandfather in its frame. Dust had already begun to settle, as if the room itself was adjusting to her absence. I sat down and stared, and a thought struck me. Someday, my room will look the same. Strangers will walk in, notice my belongings, recall a detail or two, and then leave. And I will vanish as if I never existed. The thought didn't frighten me. It felt brutally honest. Death isn't a single moment. It's a process. We die a little each day when we hide our words, when we pretend, when we keep moving without asking where we're going. We die in silence long before our bodies give up, disappearing piece by piece until only objects remain to prove we were alive. Maybe the only gift her passing left me is this: a vow, whispered in the stillness of her room, to live differently, to break routine, to speak honestly, to resist the quiet drift toward nothingness. Even if I fail, even if it's only halfway, I want to leave the world knowing I lived, not disappear so quietly that it seems I was never here at all.